Hello everyone, it's Gaggle and welcome back to another video where this video is going to be the patch 9.13 notes rundown. So let's get into these patch notes and see what changes we have in store. So I have a video out on the new champion. So if you want to see that, I recommend you go check out that video as I will not be covering her in this video. Alright, Corki. Our ammo bar now reads right to left. The package ARAM timer is adjusted. Well, the ARAM timers don't matter. This doesn't change anything. He's still kind of a mediocre mid laner. He's not necessarily good into any of the mid laners right now, as they're all relatively aggressive and can just punish him really easily, and he doesn't necessarily have the range out to stay safe and farm. Diana Q quality of life changes. Tip now reveals Fog of War. Crystal writes more consistently aimed during cursor. It travels slightly faster. This might actually, the slightly faster, depending on how much faster it is, might actually help Diana a bit. Diana is a pretty one-dimensional champion, so if you ever see her in games, or if she ever appears in the meta, it's because she just has to be absolutely busted for her to reappear as a strong force. Because all she does is 100 to 0 you by running at you, and that's about it. So that's kind of a problem intrinsically with her kit. So it'll be a little bit better, but probably not too much. Alright, Alawi. W minimum damage added. Also applies to turrets. Tentacles disappear faster when Alawi leaves. E-Spirit and Vessel duration increased. Time between tentacle attacks decreased. Our tentacle clap increased. Alright, a lot of things here. So let's go over what's important, what's not. AP ratio on tentacles. Doesn't matter. You're never touching AP. No longer go idle when Alawi's not around to command them. She can now ping the cooldown to her team. It despawns after she leaves the area after a certain amount of time. Enemies gain vision of tentacles through Fog of War. This is actually kind of important, as now they're harder to see if you're not right on top of them. And just some other quality of life. The W here, the minimum damage is good because this means she can smack turrets and use this as an ability to maybe consider now a Triforce with a Sheen. So that's interesting. So the spirit duration is not only reduced each time Alawi is damaged by the target. Base spirit duration has gone down, though, to compensate for that, and the base vessel duration is down. Time between tentacle attacks is down a lot. 10 to 5. This could actually be pretty big, as this makes it really hard for you to kite all the tentacles until you get used to it, or if you have, like, say, tier 2 boots. So yeah, and she gets an extra tentacle on her. Leap of Faith. All in all, Alawi is a annoying as heck champion whenever she is strong. This doesn't necessarily seem to be enough to bring her back into play, but she definitely will be much more annoying to play against right now. So, considering bruises are in a very busted state right now, with a lot of their itemization being super strong, such as stuff like Cleaver and Hysteric's Gauge, and even Death Stance still being very powerful, might actually see her a little bit now. Karma. E-base movement speed duration decreased, so this is a revert from the other change. I don't think this will affect her in the support position as much, but top lane tank and definitely mid lane Karma have taken a hit because of this. So she'll still probably be alright, but I expect Yumi to kind of retake her throne as the best enchanter support, if played properly. Orin Q damage ratio increased, doesn't matter, just whatever. You don't build attack damage, this is a joke. Pyke is really annoying right now in solo lanes, and it is even still pretty good in support, so they're trying to target solo lane Pyke, as he was never intended to be played in a solo lane, which is pretty obvious by how powerful of a ultimate he has, which is generally only seen in supports. There are some other roles that have it, but generally this kind of team fight power is reserved for supports and very specific champions that have relatively weak laning phases, such as Kennen, and to a lesser extent GP. Now, people compare his ult sometimes to Darius, but his ult is quite a bit different than Darius, as it requires other people to set it up, which is why he is often better considered in the support role. And so let's get into this actual changes. The stab now hits a single target, and it no longer deals bonus damage, so you can't just tap it to do a little bit extra damage, and to compensate this, the cooldown's gone down by a little bit, which means you can throw out more of these in lane to hopefully hit someone. The W has got a little bit more move speed, which is fine. As you level it, you still probably are not putting points into this, and Phantom Undertow no longer damages minions and non-champions, so a lot of people have been thinking, hey, this shuts down his ability to push really hard and roam, so you might not see Lane Pyke anymore. I'm not exactly sure. Tiamat is still a very powerful item. Tiamat still might give him enough wave clear into weaker laners to be able to push and roam like he wants to, but he definitely will not be seen all the time now. And this change right here does help him support a little bit, and this helps him roam a little bit better from a support position where his job isn't necessarily to shove the wave. This also means you can't really help your AD carry push the wave that much anymore, so maybe his support Pyke even takes a hit. Alright, Sejuani. Sejuani is the busted jungler that no one wants to play because people don't like to play tanks, even though if you want to win games, this is the jungler you should be playing if you assume the people in your elo have brain cells. Okay, so let's see what they're trying to do to her. Her health growth rate decreased, her W second cast damage ratio decreased. It's fine, a little bit of health loss doesn't really matter. And the 0.75 extra damage lost here is a little bit annoying, but versus most targets when you gank isn't going to be that much, and probably the only time it matters is if you're going to gank a really beefy HP target that for some reason the person you're ganking doesn't have much damage to be able to kill them, but you're still ganking and looking for the kill anyway. So, not really that big of a deal. Sivir is still one of the best AD carries right now. So let's have a look at what they're changing. Attack damage growth, mana regen decrease, W cost increase. So they're trying to hit her wave clear here. This doesn't really mean that much to her. Same kind of with this. This doesn't really mean too much. But this going up 15 mana, considering how much you want to use it in a lane phase, and her already relatively small mana pool means that maybe you get one or two less ricochets per lane phase. But with Essence River, you probably can counteract that. Importantly, I noticed they're nerfing Sivir, but there are no Jinx changes here, so I expect Jinx to be the new broken AD carry, and still no Draven changes either, so maybe she gets overtaken a little bit by those two, because those two are the other two strong AD carries who have not been touched in forever, at least in solo queue. Let's look at Sona. They're trying to cut down her usability as the Sona Taric bot lane or Sona X bot lane, using her as a semi-damage dealer. So the Q aura damage ratio is going down by 0.1, and the move speed is going down by 3% per 100 ability power. So it's actually, for pro play, this is actually probably a relatively big change, because this means you can't move your team around the map as quickly. But realistically, Sona Taric was not seen too much in solo queue anyway. Sona doesn't build AP as a support traditionally, unless you're Giga fed, but even then, support items are so powerful, you probably should never be building support AP anyway. So, still, this doesn't necessarily mean that much. So, for Sona support, this doesn't really change too much, except for the slight movement speed nerf, which is probably really only relevant in pro play. As in solo queue, you would not be abusing this move speed as much. Silas, this champion is just all over the place. Sometimes he's busted, sometimes he's terrible. He's really weird and really annoying to balance, because his balance is kind of relevant on how powerful are the other ults on the good champions right now. So when LeBlanc was great, like one of the best mid laners, he's not that powerful because he's can only steal one of her basic abilities, which isn't that good. But now, now that he's stealing every Braum ult and all that other fun Rakan ults and God knows what else, But anyway, so let's see what they're trying to do here. Given some damage to the Kingslayer to encourage a max of this, and they're nerfing some of giving a little bit more base AD, a little bit more HP. This should make him a little bit more tankier and give him a little bit easier wave clear. The W, I'm not sure if this means now you consider something like a QW max. I don't know. They changed the E don't have a long cooldown, so now he is very level dependent, it seems like, because all his stuff you want to put points into. Importantly here, though, they didn't buff the healing, so we thank God we're not going to have to see any more of that disgustingness. Syndra, base mana growth increased. This is all right. This ends up actually being quite a bit. This is, maybe an extra 100 mana or whatever, which is, an extra 2 spells throughout the game. They're at level 10. So whatever. She's all right. She's kind of really only good into certain stuff traditionally, and she's just kind of a bully mid laner that plays long range. But she doesn't necessarily like the insane amounts of dive that are present right now. She doesn't like divers that do a lot of damage. If she can peel the divers off her, that's fine. But when the divers are destroying her before she can destroy them, then she kind of has a little bit of a problem. So until we see a nerf to a lot of the fighters, I don't expect her to be seeing a lot of attention. Tristana, attack damage growth up, mana regen decreased, W damage increased. So her rocket jump gets 10 extra damage. Maybe you land this 2 or 3 times max inside of a trade, so maybe you're getting an extra 20 damage if we're saying, good situation. So, Triss is already kind of good, but she's kind of in this weird spot like Vayne is, where she's a strong-ish champion, but you basically have to have a support that's going to carry you through lane phase, at least as far as CC and setting you up kills and feeding you to snowball the game. Like, her and Vayne are both very weak champions that synergize relatively well with most engaged supports and can snowball pretty hard off them. So, if you have something like a Thresh or like a Nautilus, she is still already pretty good. So this might just give her a little bit extra oomph. The mana regen doesn't change that much. The mana is whatever. The attack growth, maybe she gets a little bit extra as she levels up. It's not going to be hugely noticeable. Udyr, all abilities can be ranked to level 6. This is actually kind of interesting. This means that, all abilities can now be leveled up 6 times. So does this mean that he has 24 skills he can put points in? We'll have to see, but does this mean you have 24 skills, essentially, he can put points in? And to compensate, all of them got a little bit better at their final rank. Starting at level... Okay, so it looks like you have to hit level 16 before you can put the extra point into here. And this just gives you, a little bit of extra of whatever the stance is. Udyr as a champion is, he's in a really weird spot in that he's super abusive. And he can very easily, take over a game. But he kind of still just has to run at you. He duels well-ish into certain champions. He's more of a solo Q Terra than he is ever at a high relo. A lot of people assume he's not very good, but he is probably one of the better split push options available to you from the jungle, so that is something to consider. Maybe this helps him a little bit. I still wouldn't expect him to see him a ton, except for people who play mainly Udyr. But, he's going to even be more of a harder scaler now, which is, kind of already what he's good at. Responsive pass. So normally I wouldn't mention this stuff because it's just it's just a few things to make the animations feel a bit more fluid, but I want to talk about this just because there's something really important that is missing here. The new Rise, something with it screws up your movement, so whenever you cast a spell, half the time it'll cancel your movement command. It's not all the time. It's only half. It's only half, maybe 33%. But it's really weird. Sometimes when you throw cues as you move, you should be able to keep on moving, but it's canceling your command, your movement command now. So that's just something I wish we saw here that we don't. Essence Reaver. This item has been making champions like Sivir very powerful due to the ability to go from Essence Reaver into IE. So let's see what they did here. Give it another 100 gold, and they made it go from a BF sword instead of a pickaxe, but it only costs 100 gold to combine it. So this is a little bit interesting. This means that it's a little odd. This might actually end up being a net positive thing because now you can back with 1300 and get a BF, and if you back with 1100, you just get the call fields. If you back with 700, you can get double long. The only situation where this is worse than the old build path is where you could back and get a pick and a longsword, but didn't have enough to actually just get the BF sword. That's the only situation where this is worse than now builds out of a BF sword. And just going up 100 gold is whatever. This will make Sivir slightly worse again, but another wave isn't the end of the world, especially for you're trading that off for what is most of the time now a better build path. So that's how that is. Randuin's Omen, they're giving it 10 more armor. Now this is interesting because Randuin's Omen counters crit and like people who attack quick, which kind of aren't the problem as far as AD damage is concerned right now. The problem is all these fighters that have similar damage to AD carries now for some reason and much more survivability. And assassins. Randuin's is not a good item versus either of these kinds of champions except very specific ones that do a lot of auto attacking. So maybe this is alright versus someone like Irelia, but this isn't going to protect you that much against someone like Aatrox. You want a different armor item. So this is a little interesting that this is kind of countering the item that they're choosing to buff is not the AD defensive item that counters a lot of the powerful champions right now. And Rod of Ages upgrade and total cost decrease. This is good, just 100 gold off the combine. So now you can get stacking a whole minion wave quicker. It's probably not going to make this like, you're probably not going to start building this on people like Rise and Cassiopeia like you used to, but on people like TF or whatever that do you get this early, this is good for them. So that's this one. Make sure there was not the thing about the rise down here. So let's just quickly review. Rod change, alright. Randuin's not the armor item that needs buffs, or not the armor item that's good against the champions that are actually scary right now. Essence Reaver. Nerf to a little bit of a nerf to Zaya, but you do trade off for a better build path in most situations. Udyr, okay, but not that good. Trist, still going to be good at what she does. Syndra doesn't have enough to bring her back. Silas, hard to read, but probably should help him a little bit. Sona, just really a nerf to Sona Tarek. Sivir probably goes down a little bit, but once you get your Essence Reaver, probably still fine. Sedge, still perfectly fine, needs to be picked more in solo queue. Pyke, probably no longer a solo laner. Support Pyke, maybe a little bit better with these changes, maybe a little worse. Orin, this change doesn't matter. Karma is a solo laner, probably dead. Support, probably still fine. Alawi might be good. Most likely will be more annoying. Not sure if this makes her meta. Not sure exactly how she matches up against a lot of the powerful top laners right now. But it definitely brings her into the consideration and definitely into weaker laners that she can punish hard. Will absolutely destroy them. Diana quality of life might be big, might not be big, depending on how much the actual speed is. Quirky is just whatever. The new champion is annoying. The new champion is just easy Akali. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.